Good morning, everybody. My name is Mary Shields. I typically am known as MC, so I don't always recognize it when somebody says Mary because I've been MC for so long. I've been at City of Hope for 5 years. Originally, I came from an Indiana hospital, and I was really excited to join City of Hope because of the cellular therapy that was going on here in the CAR T. So it was one of my biggest reasons for coming here. So very excited to be amongst these great people that work at City of Hope and really knowledgeable clinical providers. So I'm going to be talking about research in cellular therapy. Alrighty, so just to give you an idea, this is part of the cellular team led by Dr. Buddy, who you just heard from. We have and Dr. Foreman, and then Christine Brown. I won't go through all these names, but just to give you an idea, it takes so many people to be able to do this program: pathology, radiology, transfusion medicine, biostats, T-cell lab, regulatory operations, BCCR, which is our Briskin Infusion Center. We have data, CRNs, and CRCs. So there's a ton of people that are involved. So immunofactor cellular therapy research. We do a lot of research at City of Hope. We probably put over 1,000 patients on research every year. So cellular therapy is just part of that research. We do CAR Ts, natural killer, and TILs. I also included bispecific antibodies. They do have some similar effects, and we have been doing research with those as well. So these numbers may look a little bit different than Dr. Buddy's, but it was on a fiscal year. So this is research compared to commercial drugs. And as Dr. Buddy said, there's more agents that have been approved. So that has really increased in standard of care. I know we were at a meeting just this week and they had 9 in a week, which was really amazing. So they have started doing a lot more outpatient CAR T-cell therapies. We do a lot of different immunofactors in research. Research is really, really important to me. I've been in research for about 25 years and have seen the effects of the meds that we have been studying. Dr. Buddy gave you a historical account of immunotherapy in research, and I have to say that I actually experienced using all of those agents as a nurse. I've been a nurse for a lot of years, and I was there when we were first giving IL-2, when we were giving Rituxan, when we were giving things like Herceptin, et cetera. And those eventually became standard of care. So to me, research is extremely exciting. When I first started research, I was asked to start a research department as well as a stem cell outpatient cellular therapy program, and learned a ton in that time. Ironically, my uncle was diagnosed with lymphoma at the time, and I went to Cleveland Clinic with him and was his caretaker. And I can happily say tomorrow I am going to see him for his 80th birthday celebration. He's been 25 years after his stem cell transplant. So I have seen family and friends who have benefited from research for some of the agents that we have used in research along the years. So again, research is extremely important to me. I feel passionately about it, and I feel like every patient should have the opportunity to participate or at least be told about it. So as Dr. Buddy had said earlier, we did a big impetus to bring the CAR T-cell treatments to outpatient. I have some of our Briskin staff is here, and when I first came to City of Hope, Teresa was part of that Alpha Clinic, and Chris Krigsman, who's in the back, she really, really helped our staff to learn the CAR T-cell treatments in outpatient. A lot of Dr. Buddy's neural studies that the nurses assisted with, and you'll hear more about that later. But currently, we're giving about 70% of the research products outpatient, and inpatient is giving between 60 and 70%. And I think that number is greater now from these numbers because they're giving a lot of products. Just to mention briefly, I know Amanda Hammond's going to talk about this tomorrow, but the out of specification products, the first line is a definition. I'm not going to read that to you, but it's the FDA definition of out of specification. We do consider these research here. So basically when a CAR T product does not meet specifications that are established, the patient may or may not be treated with that product. The physician would make a decision about whether or not to treat them. So the research team does help with, consenting the patient. And then we just recently started giving those out of spec products in standard of care area. So there's a number of different steps to the research process. First, there's an idea that comes from the physician who has a concept that they develop. And once that's developed, the protocol, the research, to me, the protocol is like the recipe of what's going to be done with that research. It's endorsed, and we have about 17 disease teams. Immunotherapy is one of them. So that concept will be endorsed at that meeting, and then, just prioritized of how it will be implemented. That will need to go to the IRB, which reviews whether or not we're going to proceed with the study. This is just kind of a simplified discussion of that process. The IRB will approve or not approve, or they may give conditional approvals. And then the study will be initiated at the site. We usually have a meeting that we train staff for the study, and then we then implement the protocol. And nursing is involved at the beginning with looking at the protocol. I know our colleagues in Briskin and also in inpatient have to look at that protocol to see how to implement it and how it's going to work in those departments. So we have a large research team. This is, most of them under my line of sight is all the patient-facing teams. So the CRNs, Briskin, which is the research infusion unit. We have a clinical specimen coordinators. We have a research scheduling department, and we have a research authorization department. So it's just to give you kind of a sense, it's probably about 185 people that just from my line of sight that are dealing with different aspects of patient-related parts of the research. So we have, of course, the investigator who manages the study and the sub-investigators, regulatory who does startup. We have clinical research protections that look for safety in different aspects for the patients. The patient is their interest. We have clinical research coordinators and data managers who input data and help to coordinate different aspects of the study. We have clinical research nurses, and here at City of Hope, we have about 70, currently we have about 70 clinical research nurses and about 18 LVNs who also assist with different aspects of research. Biospecimen coordinators, if you could see all of the kits that are associated with research, it's like a huge part of the warehouse. And again, research scheduling, they have 7 schedulers just for research appointments, and then research authorization, which has about an equal number of staff. So these are just some of the diseases treated with immune effector cell. It's not exhaustive, but as Dr. Buddy had mentioned, we're seeing more with solid tumors more recently. So our outpatient experience for research started in 2018, and I know Teresa was part of the Alpha Clinic back then. And we were treating patients outpatient, and we continue to treat a lot of patients outpatients. There are some weeks when we can have up to 9 patients being treated, and a lot of different variety of IEC therapy. We increase focus for outpatient. I put 23, Dr. Buddy. I was thinking it was 23. It went by very quickly. We had our staff specially trained. As I said, we have our nurse coordinators, which are very involved with this process. We're trying to make sure that every staff member in our outpatient infusion research unit knows how to give cellular therapies, and we don't hire new grads there. They're experienced oncology nurses, and most of the time they've had experience with infusion. We're very lucky in that. When we have open positions in that department, they're filled pretty quickly. I give credit to the orientation process is involved. When we deal with cellular therapy, they're carefully trained. And I have to say that we give first in human types of medications. We do a lot of phase 1 studies. The staff are always anticipating reactions, and if you're there when a reaction happens, they act as a team that just moves together for those reactions and really stabilize the patients very quickly. So I give credit to our coordinators who help train that staff to be able to do that. Dr. Buddy began an IEC clinic this year, which I think is very exciting. So the patients that have received treatment will go to that IEC clinic. We hired a couple nurse practitioners. May will be talking a little bit later, and Ray is another one, but they will be seeing these IEC patients on a regular basis, which is great for the patients because they have consistent physicians and nurse practitioners seeing them regularly. Some of the nursing considerations with IEC therapy is coordination of cellular lab. That's done by the CRN. It's always a priority for scheduling for us. Our schedulers know that, and we have some private rooms in Briskin that we put the patients receiving the cellular therapies there. Just making sure that the patient stays close to the hospital is important because they can have some of these side effects that can become life-threatening. So that's part of the consideration and the coordination. And then also a caregiver support person. Just some of the other nursing considerations I'm going to go through. With the research product administration, there's a lot of coordinations that's done by the CRN. The CRN is like a nurse navigator almost in research. They have to deal with a cellular doctor, the investigators. They are involved with clinic appointments. They have to manage line placement at times. They have contact with the pheresis department, the cellular lab, inpatient and outpatient departments, and they do teaching to the people administering the product. They deal with a caregiver, home health sometimes. If we actually have a hotel on site, which is great. So sometimes they have to manage those reservations. And then they do a lot of intensive teaching with this population. There's some different considerations when you do research with cellular products. It's a standard of care. There's usually some set protocols that you do, but with us, we look at the protocol itself to see if there's anything special that needs to be done. Can this product go through a central line, or does it need a peripheral line? You have to be careful what kind of pick is used if a pick is used. There can be syringes and stopcocks that are needed to administer the medication. Other research associated tasks, and this is one of the advantages of us having LVNs. There's sometimes associated with research a lot of blood draws, a lot of EKGs, vital signs, neural assessments, et cetera. So we love our LVNs. They're very helpful with our research patients. There is coordination of giving the product with the cellular lab and knowing exactly when we're going to give it, because when that product is being given, that patient becomes one-on-one with that nurse. There's inspecting the product and making sure the chain of custody is adhered to, inspecting and signing off with that lab. Patient and caregiver teaching is continuous. We see these patients sometimes often before and after, and that teaching just is ongoing. And what happens with research is there is usual practice that's given. We have policies about that, but the protocol will trump that usual practice if there's special considerations. So some of our future directions, we're hoping at some point in time to extend hours. We've already extended hours in our infusion unit to weekends. We do have the capacity to do observation. We are moving to Hope Plaza. It's that big building with the sign out there. We'll be on the 8th floor, so we're going from 17 spots to 50 spots, which is a huge expansion. And their standard of care infusion will be going there as well. We have some participation in our network, both with referrals and starting to give some stem cell products, and I believe out-of-spec products. Orange County is building a hospital, which we run out of hospital beds here a lot. It's a challenge, so it'll be good to have other hospital beds available. And then I'm sure everybody is wondering what's going to happen with AI and research. We're starting to use it a little bit with some of the, for instance, direct data can go from the chart directly to the databases where they need to go. So we're doing some experimentation with that, as well as being able to look into the chart with an AI program to see if the patient has been reconsented. Right now, we're starting a project on eligibility so that this product can look into the chart at different things to see if those documents are present for eligibility. I think that is my last slide. Yep. Thank you.